What's up, everybody? AyyScare here, and I want to welcome you to my Let's Play series on Front Office Football 8. Since this is episode 101, let me give a quick background before we get started and explain how all of this is going to work. I personally put a lot of time into Front Office Football 7, and I loved every minute of it. I haven't been able to put too much time into Front Office Football 8 yet, even though it's been out for a couple of years now. So this is going to be a little bit of a mix of me showing it, learning it, and overall just playing it at the same time. In my short time with it, though, it seems very similar to Front Office Football 7. To give a quick background on the game and series, the Front Office Football series has been in development since the 90s, and it is mainly all done by one guy named Jim Ginden under the company Solecismic Software. I'm not sure I'm saying either of those correctly, but that is probably something you will see a lot moving forward. I know I'm going to be butchering player names throughout this series. Anyway, so check out his website for updates on a possible Front Office Football 9, game patches for Front Office Football 8, and any other projects that he may be working on. There is also an active forums over on Operation Sports called Front Office Football Central, where you can learn about game mods, online multiplayer leagues, and join into other football and game-based discussions. I'll be linking both of these in the video description. Now, let's describe how this series is going to work. I'm going to be using fake player names and fake team names to generate a fake world for us to have fun in. The fake team names are actually what the game ships with. If you wanted to edit this to have the real team names, you can easily edit them here. One setting I am going to adjust from the defaults. I haven't played enough of 8 to confirm if this is still the case, but I found injuries in 7 to be a little bit rare for my liking. I personally played 7 with an injury setting of 150. Since it may be a little bit different in 8, I'm going to try adjusting this to 125, and we'll run our series from there. We're going to generate 50 years of history for the league, and then we're going to take over one of the worst teams. The goal is then to take that team through 20 years or 20 seasons and see how we do. The goal is to win as many Super Bowls as possible, but we'll also be tracking things such as possible Hall of Famers, possible record-breaking seasons, and other fun stats like that. While you can get all detailed with play calling, playbooks, depth charts, player birthday interactions, weight management, and things like that, I'm not going to be playing the game that way. Over my time with Front Office Football 7, I've found I much prefer handling things from a GM or general manager-like setting. So I'll be handling the coaching staff, the rookie drafts, player contracts, trading, and things like that. All of the nitty-gritty of the player management and play calling, that's going to be handled by the coaching staff that we select. Since this is video 101 of the series, I'm going to be handling this as a bit of a tutorial for any prospects that are looking at the game or people trying to learn the game. If you are a longtime player of the series, this first episode may be a little bit slow for you, but the future episodes will go faster. My goal is to run each season as its own episode, and I'll be doing 20 seasons. If this series does well and I run a second team in the future, keep in mind the naming structure that I set up. So this is episode 101, or Team 1, episode 1. Let's say we make it to a second team and we're on season 15. That will be episode 215, or Team 2, season 15. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here we are. We are in Front Office Football 8. And let's go ahead. I've taken a little bit of time here just looking at the teams. And I think I know what team we're going to be taking over, but let me show you why here. So I've simulated 50 years, and I'm going to come over to this almanac, yearbook, and let's look at team performances. Now, you may notice some of these teams have moved, and that is something that happens in the game. So I don't know which team it is right now, but one team moved to Athens. And if we scroll down here, I also noticed one moved to Anchorage. So there has been a little bit of movement in these 50 years, but most of our cities still look like the standard 32 that you see in the league right now. And let's sort by worst regular seasons by these 50 seasons. And we'll see down here, we are looking at Jacksonville Cougars. And they've never reached a bowl game. They've never won the Super Bowl. They have an overall losing record. They're only at a 40% win rate. So that is the team that I am planning to have us take over here. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at the team, and then we'll get started with the first season. So if we go to this little clipboard up here, this is our roster window. And just as a quick reminder, this first episode is going to be a little bit more of a tutorial for those of you that may be scoping out the game. If you're a longtime player, this may be a little bit slow, and you probably know exactly where I'm clicking, but we will be faster in future seasons here. So up here at the top, I'm going to look at the team for Jacksonville, so Jacksonville Cougars. And let's take a look at our team here. Now, right now I'm in the Scout Overview tab, which is the main tab that I tend to be in. And let's just kind of run down what some of these numbers mean. So here you can see this is basically our starting lineup right here. If we look over to the right, we can see how many years they've been in the league. And then if you look to the right of that, you have your current and your future estimate. So current estimate is what basically your coaching and scouting staff determine as how good they are this season. Future estimate means that certain players are going to take longer to develop than others, and so if you have a player that's like a rookie or 2 or 3 years in the league, you'll see that their future estimate tends to be a little bit higher. If we look here, our running back is a rookie and basically already at his future potential, which that's not too good of a sign there. But if we look down, let me see if there's one here that I can use as an example. I don't actually see a single player on our starting lineup that's supposed to get better than they are currently. So I guess here's one, but it's still good to good. So our right guard, 2 years in the league. He's currently rated as a 50, which is good, but he has a future of a 63. So to put these numbers into perspective, if you have a player that is 80 plus, or the game will say very good, that tends to mean that they're like a player that could be basically a captain for your team, or somebody that you could potentially see in the Hall of Fame. That tends to be kind of that rating. If you're somewhere in the 70s, that means that you're a very good player. If you're somewhere in the 60s, that means that you are basically above average and a clear starter. If you're in the 50s, that normally means that you would generally start for most teams in the league. And then anything below 50 is going to be considered your average player. So looking at a starting lineup, you don't want to see too many averages. Generally, your average players are going to be better for kind of your bench spots. But, because of your cap space and all of that, it's basically impossible to end up with, all of these being good or very good. You're always going to have a weak spot or two in your starting lineup. So if we look just from the top down here, we have 49 at a quarterback, which is okay. Obviously, we would want to get this to be a better score. Main thing here that I'm worried about, though, is they are already 14 years in the league. Let's take a look at their player card here. And over on the left, we can see here that they're 37. I would be, a little bit surprised if they stick around for more than a season or two. There's a good chance that they actually might retire the moment that we take this team over. So that's not a good situation. And if I click in this column, it will then list all of my quarterbacks next to each other. And even though we have 2 younger quarterbacks on the team, it doesn't look like either of them have really any potential to be a starter in the league. So that is definitely going to be an area of concern. Let's look back here. So we do have that rookie running back. The fact that they're already capped at their future estimate of 55 good, that's kind of a red flag for me. I mean, this guy should be good enough for another year or two. Yeah, he went for 1,200 yards, 4.5 average, 6 touchdowns. He also caught for almost 400 yards. So, I mean, he's going to be good enough for us. Probably not a player that I would sign to a larger deal, but we'll see. Fullback, not too important, but pretty terrible. All of our weapons on offense here, so these are kind of our tight end, 3 wide receivers. We do have 2 that are listed as good, which means that they would basically be a starter for most other teams in the league, but they are at 10 and 11 years experience. So for wide receivers, they actually might retire after this year too. We actually could see a situation here where the quarterback and both of our main wide receivers both retire, which that would be a real big nightmare for us. But we'll continue down here. One kind of bright spot here is We do have a very young offensive line. None of them are great players, but they're all in that 50 to 60 range. So I'm overall happy with that. We may end up getting a different tackle or something like that to hopefully bolster our line a little bit. But that should be okay. The kind of really good part of this team right now is we have a very young and strong defense. So right now, our defensive end, only 2 years in the league, and is rated at 81 here. Let's look at how he actually did this year. So this year, he went for 46 tackles, 20 assists, 6.5 sacks, 1 blocked pass, 16 hurries, and 5 quarterback knockdowns. I believe that's what that is at least. You can see here in kind of the more detailed scouting, he's really good at some rush defense, and he's actually really good at getting that pass rush. So, he's also actually really good on our special teams. That's nice. Punishing hitter. Yeah, this is the kind of player that I like to see young on our team that we can hopefully kind of build around. If we keep going down here on the defense, you'll see, you know, overall, we basically have 3 defensive ends or defensive linemen that are at least rated good, or at least they should be by next season. Our linebacker situation, which is the next 4, again, all 4 young players. 3 of them are only rated as average, which is a little bit of a downer there, but we do have this inside linebacker who is rated at an 82, which is extremely good. Wow, in the past 2 seasons, he went for over 100 tackles. So, yeah, and you can see here, rush or run defense, 100. This is another great player that we can build around. And let me just double check there. So, the defensive end's 2, and he's 5 years. Okay, but I'm excited for that. That should be good. Our secondary has its problems. Our cornerback, we have a very young cornerback here, which is going to be great. Really high interception ratings, really good at man-to-man defense. I'm pumped about this. Sinclair looks good to me. And then the rest is a real crapshoot. Averages, the one other good player, our strong safety here, 11 years in the league. So at 33, another player that we might be losing next year. So we actually could be losing a lot of our talent the second that we take this team over. If we scroll down here just to look at the rest of the team and our bench, our punter and kicker are both kind of in that 40, low 50 range, which I wish it was better. We actually do have a defensive tackle in here that's a 67. I'm surprised that he's not actually rated over this nose tackle, but that's okay. That actually is good. I didn't actually see that when I was looking at this before I started recording. So that's a good player to have on our bench. But outside of that, this bench is just nothing going our way here. So that is basically our current roster situation. Let me show you guys one other thing here. So one thing that is new in Front Office Football 8, so I am still learning this a little bit, is the coaching setup is a little bit different. So if I scroll down to the ones for Jacksonville, here is our head coach. Here we can see they have 22 years experience. Defensive front is this 3-4 Eagle or 34 Eagle. Now, this to me is a little bit, this is new in Front Office Football 8, so I'm not 100% sure what this means. The game does have a good built-in help system. It's all text-based, but it does give you answers to things like this. So I'm actually going to pull that up here, and let's look at defensive philosophy for a second. And this is what we're kind of concerned about, is this chart right here. So he's a 3-4 Eagle, so he likes having that nose tackle. Actually, this is our head coach. So this actually doesn't matter as much. That's going to be our defensive coordinator where that matters more. So let's look at our strength coach. Nothing to really show here. Definitely a young coach, only 2 years experience. But both bars are over 50%, so can't really complain there. Assistant coach. again, super young. It looks like he focuses on offensive linemen, which is good because we do have that young offensive lineman front. So hopefully he can help booster them up a little bit. Although his player development and young talent are both relatively low. Eh, we'll see it. He at least gives us some good scouting and interviewing, which is obviously very important. Let's look at our defensive coordinator. This is the one that really matters here, for our defense at least. So actually, our defensive coordinator is also a 3-4 Eagle, 34 Eagle. And they do have some good player development and young talent, which is good. Play calling is also above 50, so I'm happy about that. And their primary focus is the secondary, though. So maybe in our first draft, we'll look at bolstering our secondary. I think that we really need to focus on our offense first, though. Let's take a look at our offensive coordinator. All right, so here we go. The only thing that I don't like here, so they're also focused on offensive linemen. They are going to be able to develop and get that young talent up to speed for us real quick. Play calling is atrocious, and they're also what's called smash mouth in terms of offensive style, which again, I'm going to head over to this, go to offensive philosophies here. You can see there's so much that goes into this game. And really, in this series, we're basically going to be scratching the surface. So Smash Mouth means that they are very into power run and long pass. Okay, we can work with that. And we may end up actually switching out some of these because the staff draft is actually the first thing that you do in each season. All right. So with that, we now kind of have an overview of our team and what we're going to be taking over. So let's go ahead, hop into our first season here and run through the paces here. So in this window over here, I am going to be clicking the end season button. That's going to go ahead and take us to our next season. And it gives you these random evaluation numbers. I've never found this to be all that interesting, to be quite honest. Maybe it's just I don't fully understand what goes into each one, but I just basically always click OK on that. All right, and I'm going to be choosing a new team here in the top right, and we're going to be taking over Jacksonville. All right, we're Jacksonville now. Let's go. All right. So we're going to start out with retaining staff. So this is the first part. We're going to look kind of through our options here. Our head coach is currently in on a 3-year deal. I'm actually happy with him. He's good for our defensive linemen. We have those young defensive linemen that we want to develop. So I'm perfectly happy with this. He's really highly ranked on almost everything. So good with me. Our offensive coordinator, the play calling is just so atrocious. I'm gonna have to get a different offensive coordinator in here. Defensive coordinator, ugh. I mean, if we drafted a young secondary player, he could at least be good for that. He also does have above average play calling, although his scouting and interviewing is atrocious. We may end up actually replacing both of these. Assistant coach, one more time here. Good for our offensive line. I like this assistant coach. And we'll just see if there's a better strength coach when the draft comes. All right, so I'm not going to bother re-signing those two. And we're now in the staff draft. So now I'm going to go over here. If you look over here in this kind of right menu, each one of these is kind of the different phases that we're going to be going through. And normally down here at the bottom, it gives you an idea of what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to go here to staff draft, and we're going to go through this real quick. So unfortunately, we're towards the bottom here, which means we're probably going to be picking up the not as good options. But what I've always found works well here is you can just sort by suitable. And this will basically give you your top options for your team. Let's set this on fast and begin draft. So all these other teams are going to go through, change out head coaches if they want to. Our head coach is actually the most suitable for our team, and I actually liked the looks of our head coach, so I'm going to keep that. We're going to skip a pick. We're now in the offensive coordinator round. And oh no, that's actually our assistant coach is fourth in line for our offensive coordinator. And to be honest, I actually might just promote this guy. Um, he's basically got a round average for everything, if not better. And he's already been with our team. Hopefully that helps out. I don't know if that's actually built into the game, but if I had a assistant coach that I could promote in the real world, that seems like a good idea as long as they're a good fit, and it looks like they are. I also don't want another team being able to steal him from me, so I'm actually going to select him and go ahead and upgrade him. We're now on defensive coordinator, and let's take a look here. Ooh, that is really nice. There, everything's at least middle or better. 39, which means that if this guy works out, he could really, stick with us and maybe even become our head coach or something eventually. 0 years experience, which is a little bit worrisome, but based on all of his ratings, I'm okay with it. True 3-4. Let me just look there at the help one more time here. Defensive philosophy, and I already forgot what it said. True 3-4. True 3-4. Okay, so that's going to keep us with kind of focusing on a nose tackle. So the three defensive linemen, four linebackers. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's go ahead and stick with that. So we're going to go ahead and select him. Now we do need to replace our assistant coach. So let's find something that kind of matches with what we already have. It's saying this is our most suitable, but they have a different play style. They're also focused on secondary, which I believe that we already have that. So let's do, here's a balanced on wide receiver, which we're going to need to draft a wide receiver soon. Again, very low experience, terrible scouting ability, but I say we go with it. So let's give him a shot. Come on, O'Neal. Let's go. Strength coordinator. Actually, the one we have is already the top rated for us, so we'll go ahead and skip that. All right, so we're going into this season with a pretty new coaching staff, so that should be interesting. We're going to now go into our pre-free agency. Now, there's two main things that we need to do here. It likes it when you set ticket pricing. I always just do recommend it. If you want to put in specific values for these, you can go ahead and submit that. And we can also give one player a franchise tag. Now, in case you are not familiar with this, this basically means that in football, players sign contracts for a certain amount of time, and if you don't pay them, they end up going to free agency, which means other teams can then pick them up. So by doing the franchise tag, that means that you can take a player that would be going to free agency and keep them on your team for the year. You are going to be normally paying a premium for them. So it's good for players that are like coming off of big injuries or something like that, that maybe they need another year to prove themselves or something like that. So let's take a look here. I'm going to click future estimate, and we can see here, this is something that throws a lot of people off. So let me just touch on this for a second. We're looking at our scout overview. Future estimate is our sort. Here you can see how long they're still on contract. And if they are off contract, or the little three lines there, that means that either they're going to be a restricted free agent or what term am I looking for? Unrestricted free agent. You can tell which one's which by the little dot on the color over on the left. So if we look here, you can see the white means that they're going to be unrestricted, which means basically all other teams are going to be bidding on them. If they have a little black dot, that means that we will have the first go at them. So as long as we can match what they're wanting, they'll re-sign with us and not look at other teams first. That being said, if we look here, basically everybody that's considered a 50 plus is at least with us through this season. So I'm not going to bother franchising anybody here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we're going to begin free agency. The other thing that we can do here, let's actually look at this real quick, is this is a good time to shave off players that you do not want on your team at this point. So let's look at attitude and see if there's anybody that's like in a conflict. So in chemistry here, we don't have any conflicts, which is good. We do have a couple players, though, that are not happy at all here. So this player is livid. I'm guessing this guy just wants to be a starter, and he's not going to be a starter on our team. Where is the overall rating on this? Oh, overall, there we go. Okay, overall 40. So, yeah, I mean, on my team, I think that if we go back here to our scouting and look at our defensive front, we have one guy that's a 39, one guy that's actually, that guy might be starter worthy for this team, but, if I have somebody that's livid, that's just going to be bad for my team overall, so I am going to go ahead and release this guy. Ooh, I'm also paying him almost $12 million a year. Ooh. All right. Well, he's going to hurt our salary cap this year, but not next year. So let's go ahead and get rid of him. I don't want somebody livid on our team here. Hey, I got an achievement for it. Let's see. We have 2 players that are considered angry, 2 unhappy. What's this little flag mean? That means that they have a character that's a red flag. So in my experience, this generally means that they're more likely to have conflicts. They also may be more likely to get suspended a season or something like that. So, you have to take that with kind of a grain of salt since it can still happen to anybody. That being said, what am I paying this guy? Like I said, I'm still learning this version of the game a little bit, and some things have moved. There's if franchised. But, oh wait, this guy's not even, he's a free agent, so that doesn't even matter. Disgruntled, I'm okay with that, unless these guys are like terrible. I'm only paying this guy $2 million a year. Not worried about it. Something to keep in mind, because some of you might say $2 million a year, that is a crap ton of money. Keep in mind that we're now in season 2068. So if we look at our overall contracts here, we have some players here that are making 35. Our main linebacker is actually making 55 million a year right now. So you have to inflate what the current values are if you're comparing it to our league, the NFL right now. All right, so I'm okay with this attitude situation now. We at least got rid of the really unhappy guy. And, some things will change here as we figure out the rest of our team. If we go down here to team cap / needs list, this will give you an overall idea of what the game thinks you need. Now, in my experience, at least with 7, I don't tend to agree with this list all that much. I agree that we could use a tackle. We have a very decent defensive front, so I'm not too worried about another defensive tackle. We could use another outside linebacker. I would agree with that. But I think our main thing is our offensive weapons. It's just not a pretty picture there. So let's go ahead, hop into the next thing here. So we're going to begin free agency. All right, and this is where the fun kind of really begins. So let's view the draft preview first. In here is where you are going to be interviewing up to 12 players that you may be able to draft. Let's view the draft order. All right, so we actually didn't do terribly last season. We have pick overall 12, which does make this a little bit harder because we're going to need to kind of guess which players are going to be going before our pick. Now, we can get super detailed in here. I could go and look at every single team above me and guess what player they're going to be going. I don't take the game that seriously, so I'm just going to be taking kind of an educated guess here. So we are going to need... Actually, wait, there is one thing that we didn't check. And I'm not sure where it is in this version of the game. Let's just go to here for a second. Okay, so Trey did stick with us. He didn't retire. Okay, actually, none of the wide receivers I was worried about retired. Our safety also stuck around. Okay, so this means that we're not as bad off as I was expecting, but we're still going to have to replace all of these in the next year or two. So we're going to have to figure out the best way. If one of those quarterbacks potentially falls to me, that could be a good pickup because then they could kind of ride the bench for a year and learn and not get injured. And if you click on these guys, you can see here what... now, just to be clear, this scouting is done based on kind of the internal score that the game gives it that we can't see compared to what our scouts think. So this is by no means a 100% accurate picture. You can still have a number one overall prospect fall flat on their face and be terrible. You can also have a player go out, tear their ACL first season, and never be the same. So this is a complete guess based on our coaching staff, and that is not a great picture for a top quarterback. Let's take a look at the very top quarterback, which they're expecting him to go... Well, he's considered the fourth best player, but still probably the worst team in the league probably needs a quarterback, so he'll probably be first off the board. And you can see here, his blue bars are way higher. So I'm probably not going to be able to target a quarterback first round. This guy actually, according to my staff, looks promising, and he's far enough down on the board that he's considered the third quarterback. So he would actually probably still be there for us. Looks like there's a lot of stuff for like defensive front available this draft. Only one outside linebacker in this first kind of front board. That is what the game claims that we need the most. So, I don't know. Okay, let's go through a little bit of free agency, and then we'll decide what we are going to be trying to draft. So I'm going to go to continue free agency here. Stage 1, as it says down here, you're only going to be making offers to your own players. So let's look at our team. Oops, that's not the button I meant to click. That's where it was in 7. I guess I actually need to go through here anyway. And we need to look at players that we want to re-sign for an extended deal. So let's take a look at our kind of top options here. So this is going to be a problem for us when it comes to our cap space. 2 of our top players, cornerback here and defensive end, they are both going to be expiring. And since they're going to be in that kind of first big contract world, we're going to be paying both of them probably top for their position if we keep them. If we want to bolster our offense, which is going to be gutted in the next year or two here, we're probably going to have to let one of them go. Let's take a look at Sinclair here. Right now I'm just kind of looking here at these stats at the top here. I mean, he's definitely a very good corner. He definitely is getting the high ratings. He was actually pick 2 years ago. Oh, I really like him, and he's considered well liked by the fans, which is another good thing. Doesn't have leadership ability, doesn't really want to win, has low loyalty. Let's compare him now to Jermaine here, our defensive end. Wow, he actually went in the third round, and he's like super stacked. It's actually crazy. He has strong loyalty, wants leadership. He's popular, very strong personality. Oh man, I'm gonna let these two kind of duke it out this year, and we're gonna see where they end up. Hopefully one of them ends up really doing well this year, and we'll end up signing them. Right now, I'm really not sure which one I would want to keep over the other. Inside linebacker, he's still good for 3 years. 2 years, I'm okay with that. Center, it looks like he already signed a deal, so that's good. Strong safety, let's take a look. Has he been with us his entire career? He has. He's generally remained healthy. Not super crazy interceptions. Let's take a look at his tackles. Ooh, he did have a number of seasons with 90 tackles. He never broke 100, which is kind of a big benchmark for kind of your top defender. But yeah, I mean, he's overall good, but I just, with how long he's been in the league, I don't know how long I expect him to stay. So I don't know if I'm going to bother re-signing him past this season. How well did he do last season? The other thing to keep in mind is since we brought in all of those defensive studs, he only started half of his games last season. He still went for 66 tackles, though, 31 assists. Oh, man. Good player, but one that I'm probably going to let walk after this season. 2 right guards that are kind of battling for a position. That's a little bit annoying. We'll let them battle it out. Okay, here's 1 year nose tackle. Our team likes nose tackles. Our coaching staff likes that situation. He's really only good at run defense. Really has no pass rush at all. But you know what? If he's able to help keep that run low, I'm going to go ahead and negotiate his salary. Oh, and he's not even asking for much. That's really a low ball, what he's asking for. So yeah, absolutely, I'll accept that. All right, so he's now with us for the next 3 years. Again, another player that's been with us a while, or at least in the league a while. Yep, he's been with us his entire career. He's never started every single game in a season. That's a red flag. He's only had one 1,000-yard season, and everything else has basically been crap. Yeah, I'm not re-signing this guy. What are we currently paying him? We're currently paying him $14 million a year. Ugh. Where is the? Let me take a look here. There's normally somewhere where you can see how much players are getting paid. Franchise player salaries. There we go. Yeah, so right now, yeah, I mean, he's still getting paid less than a top 20, but he's by no means a top 20. So that is what it is. Let me look here. So cornerback, defensive end. Yeah, so we're probably going to be paying that guy at least $32 million a year, just based on how good his estimates are. Cornerback, yeah, again, we're probably going to be paying $30 million a year, so that's going to wipe out so much of our salary. All right, we'll keep that on the back burner for now. Another wide receiver, old. I'm not going to bother, although has he at least had a good season? This guy's actually had a decent couple of seasons. And he's been much more reliable in terms of starting numbers and things like that. You know what? Just to keep a little bit of consistency here for our team, I am going to negotiate this guy's salary. Oh, and he's asking for, again, half of what a top 20 would ask for. Yep, that works for me. Defensive end here, I would love to keep him, but with the amount that we're going to be moving up here in a episode or two, nope. And kicker is not worth keeping. He's only a 47. And I'm not too worried about keeping players kind of below that good level. Depending on the team and as I get more familiar with the team, that might change. But anything really below your 50 is more than likely going to be replaceable. So not too worried about everything down here. One thing that does throw you off, though, compared to what I just said, there is one player that you have to have on your roster as a long snapper, and they normally max out at a 20 rating. So here you can see this guy's actually a really good long snapper, but he's a 20 overall. So I will go ahead and offer this guy another year with us, just so I don't need to worry about picking up another long snapper. All right, let's now look at our position distribution here and just see kind of what we need to focus on. So actually, overall, we really are free to go at whatever we want. We don't really have any glaring holes here. Kicker and punter will probably just get in late free agency, which is going to be after the draft. Yeah, we're basically good to just go at whoever we want in free agency and the draft, which that's actually a nice for us here. So let's look at what we want to focus on. So if I come here, let's look at our future estimates. I think our defense is going to be fine. Like I said before, we really need to focus on the position, skill positions here. So maybe we'll focus on like a tight end, maybe a young wide receiver, a young quarterback if there's one available. Yeah, all right. Free agency here. We'll go ahead and end the stage. And let's look at the free agents. Now, there are two ways to do this. You can go up here and look at all free agents, which is a great way to see an overall list. However, I normally don't get, again, this detailed with it. I normally just go up here to the gray sheet. This lists off, I think it's the top, actually it says it right there. It's the top 88 free agents. So what we are going to do is we are going to sort here. And if you sort by stage, that lets you know kind of when you need to bid on that player. So right now we're in stage 2. So if there's a player here in stage 2 that we want to put money on, this is the time to do it. So there's an outside linebacker here that we might actually be able to pull in. Let's take a look at his stats. Ooh, he's had 2 100 tackle seasons. He had 90 last season. He's never really gone off for sacks, but that's fine. Does he get some interceptions? Not really an interceptions guy. Let's see what he's asking for. So offer contract. Oh, that seems really high. Wait a second here. So what were they paying? Let's put that down here to compare it here. Offer contract. Outside linebacker. So he's basically asking for like a top 10 in terms of pay. With all the money going into our defense, not doing it. Our guard situation seemed fine. We have that young running back. Again, defensive end is going to be super expensive. All right, we're skipping this round. All right, so now we're into round 3. So let's go back to that gray sheet. And you'll see some players are still here from stage 2. This normally means that they were asking for too much money and no team actually bid on them. The other way that this can work is if multiple teams came in with very close offers. Sometimes the player will hold out for a round or two to have the teams kind of fight each other. But in this case, it doesn't look like that's the case for either of them. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, so I guess all 3 of these players were just asking too much. Now there's a super stacked quarterback here. He's 27. He actually really hasn't had that great of a. Oh, no, I lied. Yeah, last season, 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Yeah, that's a pretty dang good season. Is he rushing at all? He also added 350 on the ground with 4 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, okay. This guy, look, he even took them into the playoffs. He actually did badly in the playoffs, didn't throw any touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ooh, what's he asking for? Oh man. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pay that. All right. Top wide receivers available, 27. That could be a good guy to kind of fill in a role for us. Wide receiver. Top salary right now is 35. So yeah, this guy's kind of asking for like a top 5 salary. Let's look at his career. He's had 2 1,000 yard seasons. He's only been in the league 4 years. Last year he had 900 yards, 9 touchdowns. How much money does my team have right now? 1 second here. Jacksonville. Yeah, I mean, we have some money, so we could throw it. Maybe I will go for that wide receiver. Now, something to keep in mind here is that you're blind if it's their stage where they're up, which is basically where they're expected to go. We're basically blind bidding compared to other teams. So this is what this guy's asking for. Uh, there's a chance that another team's going to come in with a higher bid. There's also a chance that we're the only team with a bid and we end up overpaying. So what I'm going to do, since I think we do need a young superstar at a position like this, I am going to offer him a higher signing bonus. We'll do 25 million and we'll see if we get him. We'll go ahead, submit that offer. And we're going to click end stage and see if we get him. We got him. You can see here, he signed with us for 4 years, 136 million. So hopefully he ends up panning out for us. We should be able to grab 1 or 2 more players with the cap room we have at this point, if there's anybody worth getting. There's another kind of good cornerback here that could bolster our secondary quite a bit. What's he asking for? Oh, he's not even asking for that much. Oh, he's 33, so this is probably his final contract, which means that they tend to get, not ask for as crazy amounts of money. This will bolster our defense, though, again. I'm going to offer this guy a little bit more than he's asking for. We'll offer 10 million there, 12 million there. 34 million, 2 years. But you know what? If he ends his career with us and is able to bolster that defense, I'm cool with it. 34 million. And we got him. Cool. All right. So now that we've signed 2 kind of big name players, I'm now going to focus on the draft and then on late free agency to kind of fill any other holes. So let's take a look at our team here again. And now that we've signed a couple of new players, let's just kind of look at what we think we need. So let's see. Let me just double check one thing. The offensive coordinator that we stuck with here was running what scheme? Offensive coordinator spread, which means what? Offensive philosophy. Spread. Okay, so basically finesse run, short slant, short pass. Okay. So what I think I'm going to go for here in the draft is I'm going to try to bolster our offensive line for two reasons. One, I want to be able to, we have this decent running back, so I want to be able to kind of boost him up a little bit. The other thing is that we're going to need to draft a quarterback probably next year. This doesn't seem to be a good quarterback draft. So if I can boost my offensive line to keep a young quarterback healthy, that seems like it's going to be a worthwhile thing to do. All right, let's go for that. So let's head over to our rookie draft. And let's guess at kind of where we're going to be able to land. So in my opinion, there's zero chance that we get either of the top tackles. We're pick 12, so teams will probably pick them within the first, at least 8 picks. So let's see. Here's the third tackle on the board. And what you'll see here, so over here in the scouting, he seems to be good. My coaching staff thinks that he's going to be a good player. I'm going to click this interview button. You can see you get 12 of them. This will give you a better idea as to how they're actually rated. All right. And impression says as scouted, which is good. So you'll see here in a minute, this can say things like highly overrated, which is not something you want to see. But considering he's as scouted, that could be a good guy for our first round. So when you like a player, you're going to right click on their name. That will show them as red, and that basically means, hey, that's a player that you are targeting. There's actually a highly rated tight end here, and that could really boost not only our run blocking, it could also give us another offensive weapon. He's only 21. He's 6'4", 250. Let's interview him. He's considered hard to read, but you know what? That's still really good ratings. All right, I'm going to right click on him. He's going to be a target as well, especially if Brandon ends up going. Maybe we'll go with Ferguson. And for that first round, I want to get at least one other option in here. There is a slight chance that by pick 12, both of these guys are gone. So we definitely want to have at least one other player that we feel confident in. Let's look here. There's 2 more tackles. One of them got a really bad 40-yard dash time of 5.4. Just to go over the colors here, I don't remember exactly what they are. I think red means like it's a super high good score. Blue means that it's like within the top 20% or something like that. Black means that it's average, and then green means that it's terrible. Now, I guess 40 time really shouldn't matter that much on a tackle, at least off the top of my head. He does get good ratings for strength and agility, so let's take a look at him. He's really good for our pass blocking, not too good for our run blocking, so maybe I'll not bother with him. Not too good at strength, so yeah. And you'll see, once you get past kind of this first page of players, their charts just instantaneously tank. Like, I'm just going to grab another player at random here. You can see, like, he has a bar that's literally at the bottom. If we go to this tackle, barely above the 50% mark. So, yeah, it's definitely picking diamonds in the rough at this point. All right, let's find one other player towards the top here that we might go for. Let's interview this guy. Inside linebacker. He's considered underrated, and he would give us some pass rush. Okay, let's red flag him. All right, so those are going to be our targets for the first round with pick 12. Every round, I'm pretty sure we have pick 12. And no, it fluctuates a little bit. But okay. So at that point, kind of what would I want to potentially fill in later rounds? Let's look at our team one more time. The game says that we need tackle, outside linebacker, and then a backup fullback. Maybe actually a fullback would be a decent option for us. That would give us some additional options for the passing game and also for run blocking. And, ooh, really nice there. He'll probably... actually, he could definitely last, and he's considered cheerful. That's good. I like that. All right. We'll put a red on him. And you can see second fullback instantly tanks compared to the first one in terms of how they're rated. So you definitely want to get that top one if possible. See if we can get a backup running back, especially if our first guy gets injured. Now, I'm not going to even bother looking at kind of the top 5 or so, since they're definitely going to go in the first round, and it's not something I'm targeting in the first round. But here we go. Here's a guy that's at least third down running, which would give our main running back a break if needed. Yeah, I'll go ahead, mark him as potentially wanted. Actually, this guy looks like he's rated probably better than the first guy. Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and mark both of them. All right, so just a reminder here. First round, we're going for one of these 3. Second round, we're either going for this fullback or one of those 2 running backs. And then after that, it's a complete crapshoot. So let's see if we can find like a decent cornerback that we might be able to go for. This guy has 2 reds, and he's pretty low on the board. He's considered underrated, but I mean, look at how terrible that looks. He showed up for the combine, which, yeah, who knows? I'll mark him. This guy actually looks better as scouted. Yeah, so this guy's actually better. I'm going to mark him. So if you right-click a second time to become blue, I'm going to be skipping that guy. Very overrated. Not going for him. Overrated, but he still has 2 really high bars. I'll go ahead and mark him since he can probably get at it in like the 3rd or 4th round. So we don't have a punter or a kicker. I normally don't bother with them in the draft, but let me just see if there's like a super high rated one. Now these guys are all like, that guy could potentially, but yeah, he's considered overrated. All right, that was a waste. Ooh, this guy actually, he doesn't have the kickoff hang time, but everything else. Let's interview him. That could actually be a guy that I might go for in like round 6 or 7, just to add him in. All right. Well, that's all of our interviews. Now, if you're like super hardcore into this game, you can go through and look at every single player and still rate them with, red, blue, black if you want to. I'm not going to do that. Again, that's just a little bit too much for how I like playing the game. So let's go ahead, skip the remaining stages of free agency. And then we are going to be doing the rookie draft. Sometimes when you do like a skip remaining stages or something like that in this game, you will get a little bit of a not responding window, but it does come back just like that. All right. Rookie draft time. Here we go. Now, if we had like a top 5 pick, I might keep draft speed on normal just for anticipation, but we're pick 12, so I'm just going to go to fastest for this. Begin draft, and you'll see what every other team picks. Now, actually, all 3 of the players that we interviewed and we liked are all still available. So that was super lucky. You'll see almost every other position went off the board. All right. So now, which one do we want? Let's look at our board again here. Game says we most need an outside linebacker or a tackle, which are the top 2 options we have here. Sort by position here. If I scroll down to my linebackers, I have that really good inside linebacker. Everything else is kind of crap. If I look at my tackles, I have one that's rated good and then crap. And if I look at my tight ends are all crap. So really, all 3 of these are going to grant my team a big boost. Man, that makes it really hard, actually. I was not expecting to have all 3 options. And, it's one of these picks where this is going to determine a lot of our first couple of seasons together. You know what? Let's look at their development. So right tackle does only have 19% development, which means he's going to probably take a year or 2 or 3 to really get to full potential. But that's almost what I want because I'm probably going to be drafting a quarterback next year or two. Oh man, this is rough. I think I am going to go with the tackle though. Boost that offensive line, get that run game going, and then uh, you know, be able to move forward. Now, click the wrong button there. I meant to click select player. And now when you draft them, you can now go to your clipboard here and see what they are actually rated as. So, drafted him. Okay, maybe I lied. Maybe this is something new in 8. In 7, you could just come here directly and see how they're doing. That's not the case here, so we'll see what's new in 8 in regards to that. Zoom draft. Wow, that outside linebacker lasted to pick like 30. He lasted to pick 27. Wow. Okay, well, I guess it's probably a good thing we didn't pull the pick on him too early. So did the fullback last? The fullback is still in here. There's still a number of running backs before the ones that we were targeting. I'm actually surprised by that. I was expecting more of these guys to go. Cornerbacks. Yeah, we still have a couple that are, teams will probably target before the ones we are. You know what? Let's go ahead and grab that top end fullback. Once again, kind of adding to that offensive power. And select player. All right, we're on the clock again. Oh, we have both of our running backs. Man, I got really lucky here with these players I scouted. Now, overall, I'm pretty sure that this second guy is probably our better bet. This guy does have much better blitz pickup, which for a third down back might actually be worth it. Man, we're only going to get one of them too. I think I'm going to go with Dotson. He still has decent blitz pickup. He's still above 50% there. So, yeah. All right. Dotson, you're our guy. Oops, click the wrong button again. I wonder if that button switched positions since 7. Maybe that's why I keep clicking it. Select player. Resume. Oh, man, the other running back is still available. How many running backs do we have on our roster right now? We already have 3. And I'm not sure if that includes my rookie. I'm a little bit thrown. Oh, wait, no, our rookies do show in here. I missed it. So our fullback rated as 66 future, which is good. I'm happy with that. The tackle that we took first in the first round is only rated at a 64 future, which I was really hoping for a higher rated player there, but is what it is. And it looks like the running back we selected is not showing in here yet. I'm not sure why that is, but okay. Maybe you don't see it until the end of the round? Maybe that's what it is. Cornerbacks here. Maybe we'll go with one of these higher cornerbacks. They're still available. Punishing hitter. Overall looking good. All right, let's go with him. We'll select him. See, I clicked the wrong button again. Gosh dang it. Select player. Resume draft. I'm actually feeling pumped about this. I think that we've gotten off a good draft here. Yeah, he's definitely gone. Let's take a look here. We'll take the first guy here that we also had. Select player. Resume draft. For what it's worth, you can come in here and offer trades. I will sometimes do that if I think that I can trade down a couple spots, or especially if I have like a top 5 pick. Sometimes I'll do it like a bulk deal to get something better in future years. Not doing that this season though. All right, let's take a look here again. Yeah, one cornerback we got supposed to be a 48, and these numbers will fluctuate. The other thing is if you change your coaching staff, these numbers can fluctuate a lot because different coaches will have different opinions on your players. So, yeah, actually, both of our cornerbacks are expected to be high 40s, which, yeah, again, I would love to have that higher, but not complaining about it. What do we still need to fill? So, let's see here. Running is fine, tight end's fine, wide receiver's fine. We probably want to get at least one additional guard or center since we're basically at the bare minimum for those. We probably want another inside linebacker since we tend to run 2 of those with our current defensive philosophy. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 interior lineman and an interior linebacker. I'm just going to take the top one on the board. Let me see how he looks. Ooh, oh man, if this guy actually gets these ratings, oh please. Please, please, please. And then let's just find top rated interior lineman. Oh man, there's not one even close to the top of the overall board. Let's look at here. This guy has a really high strength rating. Blocking strength. Might actually go with him, even though he's not towards the top. Getting that power strength in the middle there, that could be great. I think I'm actually going to go for that. Select player. Resume draft. And this is going to be our final pick. Is that kicker that I interviewed still available? He is. Let's go ahead and just get him. Really get him for the hell of it. Thankfully for us, for this first season at least, we really didn't have any like really big holes that we needed to fill. So, it gives us a little bit more fun. There was a player suspension. Okay, whew, not on our team. All right. Late free agency. So this is another time that you can kind of strike deals with your own team or players that are still on the free agency market. In late free agency, this gray sheet's going to be basically useless. There's a few that still show as free agents, but most of the time by late free agency, you do have to come here and use the free agency option. How good is that kicker that we ended up drafting? A 67? Yeah, let's go. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm pumped about that. Oh, man, we had a really good rookie draft. Oh my gosh, and that 5th round pick? Now, after training camp, these numbers might tank, but oh my gosh, am I happy about this right now. All right, so I know that we need a punter. Do we need anything else to actually fill out our roster? No, we just need a punter at this point, and then we'll see if there's anybody worth a crap in free agency, basically. All right, and come in here, free agency. Here's a decent looking outside linebacker that we can add. Just to make sure nobody steals him here and I have the cap space, I'm going to go ahead and boost these numbers up a little bit. If he doesn't work out, it's only a 2-year deal and it's dirt cheap considering where we are in terms of money at this point. Another tackle, really good at, or potentially really good at pass blocking. Again, asking almost nothing. I'm just going to add a big signing bonus just to hopefully make sure he signs with us. I want to leave some cap space for if we need to pick up a free agent or if we need to do some kind of trade mid-season. There's a good tight end here. Blocking tight end too. Let's see if we can... Oh my gosh, why are these guys going for so little? I'm going to, again, just try to claim these guys. Yeah. And then we need a punter. Here we go. This guy's at least a proven guy. And he's not asking for that much again. So I'm just going to put in enough so that hopefully no other team outbids me. All right. and stage. There's 5 stages here, so you do have to kind of keep an eye on what players are doing. So all 5 players that we offer, or all 4 players we offer to, are all listed still as pending. So they're still accepting other offers. I'm not exactly sure what happens at stage 2, but it does take longer than the other stages for some reason. That was true in 7 as well. All right, the left tackle signed with us. Happy about that one. I like how they added this rank column. That's new in 8. That's a cool little addition. Okay, the other 3 all signed with us too. We still have 30 million, which is good for 2 reasons. One, for if we need to do something mid-season, and 2, again, we're going to need some money this upcoming off-season to sign those defensive studs. So I don't want to completely pull our money down to 0. All right. I actually, for as little as I know about version 8, if I had this offseason in version 7, I would be pumped. So let's go ahead. Now, training camp, this is something that if you're super hardcore in this game, you're going to spend a lot of time in because you're creating playbooks, you're negotiating additional contracts, you're doing weight management of players. I'm going to be letting my coaching staff handle all of this. So I'm just clicking begin training camp here. Dope. We have a trade offer. Now, in 7, the trade offers from the computers always seems to be ridiculously bad for me. Let's see. So they want this center for a 4th round pick next year. And this is a center who's rated as 64. Yeah, I'm not trading him for a 4th round pick. Not happening. Close window. And we'll just delete that. All right. So now we're into the actual simulation. So you can get all nitty gritty with this, do play-by-play calls. The game is text-based. So you're just basically reading a radio broadcast of the entire thing. I'm basically just going to be skipping, between the weeks and looking at some stats. So let's get in here. If we do make it to playoffs, we may kind of at least jump into those games to see how they go in a little bit more detail, but nothing more than that. So we have our 5-week preseason. I'm just going to simulate all of these and then take a look at how our starting lineup's looking. This will also have all of the updated scouting numbers, so that should be an interesting look. All right, so before we start week 1, let's take a look at our team. Jacksonville Cougars. Let's take a look at our starting lineup. Whew. Yep, see some of these players tanked. That fullback that I was so pumped about tanked from like a 60-something down to a 41. That sucks. Our kicker still dropped, but he's still at least considered good, so that's decent at least. What the heck happened to that? Oh, okay. So right now we're not starting. It looks like basically I believe green indicates practice squad, if I remember correctly. Or at least not in the active roster. So the main 1st round pick we did here, still listed in here. Actually, that other cornerback that we picked up is rated still at a 56. And then we drafted, yeah. Oh no, you know what? So since I have some of this on being computer generated, sometimes I have to pay a little bit closer attention. Dotson was the other running back that we picked up. That fullback that we drafted is currently sitting down here on our practice squad or bench. They're still rated at a 70. Let's go. All right. That's the hell I'm talking about. Let's do this. All right. So now that we've seen that, let's go ahead and simulate this first week. All right. We only scored 9 points. Let's back that up. We scored 9 points. They scored 24. I'm going to click on this little red button here, and that actually opened on my other screen here. Give me 1 second. You know what, never mind. I'll figure it out for episode 2. There's a way for me to, maybe I'm looking for log. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. No? Okay. I'll figure that out for our next episode there. We'll be able to look at kind of how we did that week. For today, I'm going to come over here, look at our team summary. There it is in 8. All right, so first game of the season, our quarterback did not have a great game. Rushing, well, our main running back averaged 6 yards. That's decent, but we had freaking 3 fumbles. Oh, gosh. We also had a wide receiver go for 2 rushing attempts. That's interesting. Is D. Martin the guy that we signed in the offseason? Yeah, he is. DJ Martin. Okay. I'll become more familiar with these players as we go. I'm learning this kind of all with you guys. Okay, so he at least went off. That's nice. Especially considering how bad of a game our quarterback had. Yeah, that was a terrible week for us. All right. Let's go ahead. We're going to simulate another 2 weeks here. We won that week, 18-13. And we'll simulate one more week here. We lost 24-23. And actually, let's simulate one more. 28-17. All right, so we're 1-3, I think. Let's take a look again at the team summary and see how things are looking through a quarter of the season. All right, so our quarterback is looking like trash. He's thrown 1 touchdown pass in 4 games. Our main running back is still looking pretty darn good. Our big wide receiver acquisition is doing damn good. I'm happy about that one. Okay, then let's look at our team ratings. So our rushing defense is actually, top 10 in the league. Actually, our defense overall is basically, I would say, like top 3rd in the league. So that's a good sign. Our offense is kind of bottom 3rd of the league overall. Man. All right, we're going to simulate another 4 games and then take a look. I believe week 8 is the trade deadline, so let's actually stop at week 7. All right, we won that week. We lost by a point. We won by 2 points. All right, so here's the trade deadline. Let's see if our team is doing any better. Team summary here. Oh man, that quarterback. How do you play? We're at 7 games and you have 5 passing touchdowns. I mean, that is, ugh. Our main running back is still doing pretty darn good. His average though is dropping. He was after 1 game at 6. When we checked in at 4 games, I think he was at 4.8 or 4.7. So he is slowly falling off there to probably a more realistic number. DJ Martin did almost nothing since we last looked in here. Did he get hurt? He has a sprained knee. So he only missed 1 game though. Still, all right, well, good to know. I didn't even realize that our tight end's name is Poindexter. I don't know why that made me laugh. All right. Wow. Yup, that's our main inside linebacker right there. He is currently at 56 tackles, and we're not even halfway through our games. That is nuts. Um, our sack game is pretty darn bad. Uh, so we're gonna need to figure out that sack situation, and we're gonna need to look at this a little bit more before our next season here. But all right, this is a good baseline to give me a better idea of kind of what we're working with. All right, I'm not bothering trading anybody. Let's go ahead, simulate the week. That's actually our bye week. We should be able to beat Buffalo. No, Buffalo beat us. All right. New England, another bad team, at least in this game. Let's simulate that out. Oh, man. Houston will probably crush us. I'm going to be honest, like, these teams are not beating us by that much. I think our defense is really holding us up here. It's our offense that's just terrible. Let's see, we're 3-8, 3-9. Now, if I were taking over everything here, I probably would at this point try tanking my team for a pick, but that isn't really. It's not how I want to play this game. I want to play this kind of in a more realistic standpoint. So we still want to win as many games as we can. We're not going to intentionally tank at any point. So at this point, I mean, we're not even close to playoff contention. So I'm just going to keep simulating out this season. If once we get to being a better team, I'll be looking at a lot of this more in depth. But it's pretty clear that our team is just terrible. All right, so we finished the season 3-13, which is kind of to be expected. We took over basically the worst team in the league. So it takes more than one season to figure all this out. We'll go ahead, simulate through the playoffs here and see who takes it this year. We're in the semifinals. We're in the conference finals. New Orleans, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Let's see. Oh, Pittsburgh takes the Super Bowl 37-9. Whew. All right. So let's go ahead and close the window. So you guys know I'm not cheating. I'm going to go ahead and click the save button. And let's just do a little bit of analysis here, and then we'll be closing out this first episode. So let's take a look at our team. By the end of the season, our new fullback did end up getting into a starting role. Our new tackle was starting. Our inside linebacker that we picked up is starting. Our linebacker situation is definitely looking good moving forward here. Strong safety, he got injured at some point, ruptured Achilles. He's 12 years in the league. He's probably retiring. Torn Achilles or torn ankle, he's probably done. He's 11 years in the league. Yeah, this I'm really kind of worried about these upcoming seasons. I mean, we're definitely going to be losing him, Trey Hayes, Bob Felix, and Shepard. They're all going to be gone within the next year. So I think we have a good baseline, though. You have to play through a season or two to kind of understand where your team's at, where kind of some holes are. You really do have to dig into the statistics in order to figure out what's working and what isn't. Obviously, oh man, look at that. Through the rest of the season, our rushing just absolutely tanked. We weren't even averaging 4 yards a carry. Our quarterback went for 8 touchdowns. That might be a record. I would need to look at NFL stats. That is potentially the worst quarterback performance I've ever heard of for a full season of a starting. This guy started all 16 games, right? This guy started all 16 games and threw for 8 touchdowns. And he actually had a decent wide receiving core. Oh man, that is just terrible. Yeah, we need to figure out this quarterback situation. That has to be our focus of our next season, especially, I don't even want this guy starting another season regardless, but even if he can start one or two more seasons with us, we have to replace him. So that's going to be probably our focus next season, next episode, and we'll look at this a little bit more. I'll look into it a little bit more before I film the next season, but I'll be seeing you guys for season 2 of 2070. Um, and we'll see if we can make it into the playoffs, or at least improve. It's going to be hard to go worse than 3-13. So, yeah, hopefully see you guys next episode. And until then, AyyScare out.